Amen. Say, man. Welcome to another episode of Domestic Friday. I am your host, Phenomenal Mindy, and today we're going to talk about some things that need to be talked about, that's not talked about, and I think a lot of people are really concerned. So we're going to title this "Law, Order, or Overreach" about the National Guard's debate in Memphis. Again, law, order, or overreach, the National Guard's debate in Memphis. Okay. So with that being said, what we gonna do, man? We gonna go ahead and get this conversation started. And we ain't even gonna prolong the time. We gonna do make it do what it do. And that's what we here to do. What is to talk about the situation that's going on in Memphis today. So, I want to first say welcome to Memphis. Memphis is the voice of bluff, where Memphis speaks out, and Memphis is an unfiltered place, and unedited and apologetic. And today, we're going to talk about some things that's got this city just all up in a buzz. And I think that we should talk about because it's not a lot of people talking about this, but a lot of people are worried and a lot of people are divided that the National Guard is being sent to our, streets or whatever. So just a few weeks ago, President Donald Trump ordered a National Guard to come to Memphis, calling it a mission to tackle uh violent crime. I'm not a fan of how things going. I'm not a fan at all. But what I will say is that we do have a voice that we should be able to speak about things. We should be able to talk about things, especially as being a citizen of Memphis. I'm not fun as how we are portrayed because we are number one in some of the other things as far as STDs, but we're not gonna talk about that today. We just gonna leave it simple, man. We just gonna leave it simple, man. But here's the twist. The city didn't ask for this. We did not ask for this whatsoever. And we did not ask for the National Guard to come here. And we've already experienced this back when Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis. Let's keep that real, man. You know, Mayor Paul Young, he says it's not the solution to Memphis. It needs, and we need the president to understand and feel the same way that Memphis is just not that bad as far as any compared to any other, city and state. So tonight we're asking, is this about safety or is this about simply just being of control? And the reason why I say this is simply because let's keep it real. Let me keep it real with you, man. Can I keep it real with you, man? I'm gonna keep it real with you. Now, the police, to me, in my opinion, and a lot of other citizens, they are here to do a job, but not only do a job as far as quote unquote, in my opinion, control, because you're arresting people for nonviolent crimes, you are overpowering or overpopulating to a one popular. And this is being very problematic. It's some people down there now, been down there for like 2 weeks for a bag of marijuana. Let's keep it real. And the violent offense, I feel like we should be tackling, quote unquote, is what the president said, tackling the crime, far as the shooting. You're tackling people as doing traffic stop. And then the traffic stop's not in the area that's high of crime. Traffic stop is on the expressway. Now, don't get me wrong, people, skirt all through, the expressway and do the things that they do. But at the same time, you're not tackling the areas that need to be, or should I say, the areas that's highly infested with the crime. There's not police in certain areas for certain reason, in my opinion. It's just used to tackle or used to control the population of people. I'm just gonna really be honest. And the Tennessee National Guard has officially, deployed to Memphis, and it's cool and it's fine. And everybody was making jokes about it and saying, "Well, y'all gonna get this and y'all gonna get that." Other states have too. But what I will say, only one thing that they have not done is really basically gave a curfew. And I'm not sure if they're going to get to that point. We don't even know as citizens. But within myself, I just try to be in the house before dark because we all know it could get really, really ugly outside. It could get really, really ugly when it get past 8, 9, maybe 10 at the latest. It could get really, really ugly. But so the National Guard is supposed to be working with the police as eyes and ears. That means no arrest and no warrants, just support and visibility. That's been a goddamn lie. Ever since they came here, it has been nothing but pulling people over for traffic stopping, pulling people over for tag and registration. What about the crime? While y'all focusing on doing that, what about the crime? What about the people that's out here killing people, carrying guns, AK-47s? You know, what about those people? Y'all are not worried about that, but I'm gonna tell you something. According to the city's website, there is supposed to be this type of mission is to help gather intelligence and patrol, high crime areas and provide backup presence and all that good stuff. That's what they say. That's what they say. You know, I ain't seen it. We ain't seen it, and we know we got new stagnant in every which way, but Lucy's are showing us or giving us visibility of what's going on. But and the reality of y'all just come here for control. You really is. The 116th Airlift Wing was based right here in Memphis, and the 26th Military Police Company from Militant are the main units involved. Now, I myself don't stay too far from that. I stay probably about 5 minutes for that. But the details, however, is long, and they stay is um is not stating how many soldiers here, and that's the question that still don't have a clear answer to. But only thing we can do as citizen is try to abide by the law. But then I know some people will say, well, oh, biblically is this and biblically that, but biblically it's saying, we need to what does it say? I know some people already about to say what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But there are biblically some things that say to obey the law of the land. So what do you do when the law of the land is full of shit? What do you do then? Like how do you operate then? Do you operate in self or do you operate and still abiding by the law because you as quote unquote law abiding citizen? You know, we have a long memory. And back in 1968, after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, the National Guard was called in then. And as a descendant myself, I am a descendant of um one of and I probably should have did another segment, but since we're here, we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. I probably should have said this earlier on, but I am a descendant of Robert Walker Jr., who was killed and well, I'm gonna say well, yeah, killed and crushed into the compactor. He was my great uncle, and at that particular time, Dr. Martin Luther King was as the Christian leader council representative was coming here to get some justice for the equal rights of the sanitation department. So I'm not gonna get too far up in that. So with that being said, back then in 1968, this the type of stuff was going on. Y'all felt that y'all needed to control the crowd because the crowd is chaotic, but people not realizing if we were treated equal, then why would it be a need to bring in this particular army, this particular gang, to be real and realistic with it. But for so many years, seeing troops again on the Memphis soil, it kind of feels heavy to us. Now, the critics are calling this, movie a political threat, saying it's about showing, it's about tough on crime in our city. But we're already struggling with police trust anyway. Let's not forget the standing on the neck, the standing on the back. Let's not forget those particular people that is under the radar or was under the radar and have died, losing their life to police supposed to be quote unquote yeah, injustice to me. But nevertheless, civil right leaders worry about military, coming into to the community and policing it, but not policing it in the right way they should do. Some people taking their, the things that they have far as power into another realm to control, but especially in predominantly black neighborhoods. And I'm gonna really be honest with you. I've rode around the whole entire city of Memphis, Tennessee, and quote unquote, some people like to say Bartlett is not a part, Germantown is not a part, but that's like right outside. So I've rode those particular areas and I have not seen I have not seen with my eyes, my 4 eyes. I have not seen any police, any army, anything in that particular area. And you have to ask yourself why. Not only that, and if you think about it, it's certain restaurants not in certain areas for certain things, and people need to wake up and realize why are these things not in certain areas? It's to control us. They already controlling the damn food, you know. And I was sitting up there thinking to myself the other day, I was like, well, I wonder why it's not a church's chicken in Germantown. I wonder why it's not a church's chicken on Poplar. So it made me sit back and think, like, what is happening to our city? You know, what is going on? And a lot of us not focusing on what's really going on that's right up in front of our eyes. And they know we not paying attention as Black African Americans. They know we're not paying attention. So shit, why not confuse them? But others say it's just a show. Crime won't stop until there's, real investment in the schools, the jobs, and the mental health. The school it's a fucking rat race, to really be honest. If you're going to bring in something that's supposed to help and fix what's going on, fix these damn schools. Because we're in something now that's battling, trying to figure out who is going to run the school system. Yeah, they have what they like to call it an intern, but I don't agree with that. And I'm not even going to get into that. But if you're going to do something that's meaningful. We have a group of people now that's in Whitehaven that's staying in a hotel was positioned to be there by an organization, and I'm thinking it's a nonprofit organization, stating that they're going to house these certain people, and now these people have to get out within, I think it's October the 30th. So they don't have, but they was already put there and not having anything. That's the reason why they are there. So if you want to do something, do that. Help that. Help the school system. Help figure out what's going on for the betterment of the children. If you want to control the population, then control the adults so we can, or put the things in position that we can utilize for our children. Because the children is going to be the future of tomorrow. I'm just going to really be honest with that. We are now living in these last and evil days, as some of our parents would tell us, man, the city needs help, and I think Paul Young should make a press conference about that. We need help on something pertaining. I understand the crime is high, but we need help something pertaining to jobs. We need help with something pertaining to school for the children, not just let those elected officials, because half of them motherfuckers ain't worth two dead flies squatted, if you really want to be honest about that, you know. So, I walk down Bill Street and I talk with a few folks about how they feel. And, a lot of people, they don't, feel ease with that, you know, at all. I see the National Guards, around my block because I'm from the community of Fraser. And it's weird. But maybe we need to do something, or maybe we need to order some. And it's been rough out here, you know. It's been very rough on us and trying to figure out what needs to be done and come together as a whole. As a Black person, as an African American, we are the race that people look at us and think that we are a total joke. They think we are a joke. We are the only race that does not stick together. We are the only race that does not implement wealth for the family. We are the only race that go live, that our children do all types of things and laugh about it. I'm really being honest here. I'm being transparent because enough is enough. But it takes a village to raise a child. Some people say the village died off. No, the village stopped caring. The ones after our ancestors, or some of our elders that still living, after those, after I can say after 85, 86-ish is when people really stop caring. It's really, when people say, "Hey, y'all can have it," and I think that's come from tired of fighting, because the things that we was already positioned to have when Earth started has already been removed from us. But we have to take our power back. And we have to do that as a whole and as sticking together. Because if we're not sticking together, then we're not accomplishing nothing. If you doing this over here, you doing this over here, you doing over here, we got 30,000 people over here doing this, 30,000 people over here doing this, and 30,000 over there. That's 90,000 people. So why can't we come together and focus on one thing at a time before we move on to something else? But here in Memphis, it's every man for itself. It means you got to figure out, you know what I'm saying? And I don't, like I said, I don't know why we got there. That's just my guess. I think, because they took the things from us, but it's time that we get it back. It's time. And even with small businesses owners downtown have mixed feelings about this because that stops the traffic from coming within those areas. If people see a lot of police, because we don't trust them. So if they see a lot of police in the area and they're doing absolutely nothing, then why are you here? I don't want to talk to you. I don't got no trust or I can confide in you. You know what I'm saying? But then they say it's all about safety, but it feels like we're being watched and not helped. And that's the crazy part. It feels like you are being watched as if you're in the opening of being in prison. You know what I mean? And again, only thing I have not heard of is putting it in a curfew. So I'm praying that we don't get to that particular thing. But I feel like with the National Guards here, I feel like it made it more worse. Yeah, you could say, yeah, I got some of the cars without tags, cars without proper registration. You could say all that, but within that too, there's some people that can't even afford it. And then I guess some people would say, oh, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be driving. Well, hell, you try to walk to work after you get through working an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hour shift. You try to do that, you know? A lot of people is saying that they losing here, and we are. Tourists come in, they're nervous, and they don't. Some people don't even know why we have National Guard. See, they don't even, you know what I'm saying? They just hear the tour, and a lot of them, hey, I want to tour Evans. Hey, I want to tour Bill Street. I want to walk the streets of Bill. You know what I'm saying? And they not even knowing that, man, we got a whole situation going on. I'm gonna call it a whole hostage situation going on, you know? And another one said, the presence, it kind of makes them feel safe closer to be out late at night. I'm gonna really be honest. Now, the state trooper are on the highways at a certain particular time. Between the hours of 11 p.m. to maybe about 4-ish a.m., there's not a police in sight. There's not a sheriff department, it's not a national guard, there's not nothing in sight. Nowhere. But Memphis is a city that has been through a lot of struggles before. And every time it's the people who define how we are out of it, you know? And so we just need to focus, in my opinion, in my experience, I feel like need to focus more on the crime and not the little petty thing. Yeah, you can say you got a little bag of weed or whatever. Yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. But you're locking them up for a dime bag. Now, I get if you got a dime bag and you toting that iron. I get that. But I mean, I get it. It's still not legal here, but if you go cross in Arkansas, it is. So it's just kind of backwards to me. But here's what the data says that I've looked up. Yes, Memphis has one of the highest violent crime rates in America. But last year, murderers and they kind of dropped almost to 30%. Robbers kind of dropped to almost 23%. So while the numbers are still high, the trend isn't all bad. Experts, they kind of warn us that short-term troops deployments rarely solve long-term crime issues. And I'm definitely, definitely, strongly, strongly still trying to figure all of this out as to why. You know, I want to see, can Trump come down and put his feet down, put his boots on the ground in Memphis, see if he can walk the streets of gold. See if he can walk in Memphis, walking with my 10, what is it, 10 feet off a bill. Let's see, can he do that? But the real question is, once the guards leave, what's next? What is the order of plan? What is in position for Memphis? You know, that's the real question. And I'm still saying, don't forget about the schools. Memphis has always been more than just a crime tactic thing or a political move that they want to do. It's heart here. It's history here. And it's a hustle here. From Beale Street to Orange Mound, our story is written by us. So whether you see the guards as protecting or intruders, one thing's for sure. Memphis deserves real solution, not just more soldiers. I am Phenomenal Mindy, and this has been Boots on the Ground on Beale Street is what we're gonna end up calling this because we want to see the president bring them boots on the ground to Memphis and let's see what it do. But we're calling this law order or is this overreach? The National Guard debate in Memphis. So what I want you to do is follow me on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok for more of this National Guard thing here, where I give you real and raw information rooted within the truth. I don't have any other objective in order to see Memphis be great. We have to stand together. We have to lace our boots together and we have to lock hands together and be united. I feel Memphis is a city where you can come and enjoy some of the rhythm and blues. Memphis is indebted with a lot of music that hasn't been talked about from Al Green, from the Brown Singers, from Lisa Knowles, from Orlando Draper, from a lot of people don't know Aretha Franklin. Let's keep that real on Lucy Street is where the home is. And a lot of things have been here. It's history. The Underground Railroad. It's history here. The Civil Rights Museum, which, I ain't gonna get into all of that. Dr. King wasn't assassinated, or whatever. But I love Memphis. I love my hometown. And with that being said, this is Domestic Friday. And we're gonna continue to keep bringing you the truth. And until then, and until next time, amen. Say man. See you in the streets of Beale Street. Bye for now.